everybody, welcome to One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
This is my co-host, Jim Green. This has been a year in the making.
It's really been 23 years in the making. Who wants to tell it? You or me? I don't know. Let's do it. 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Just kidding. That was 14 years ago. If you guys have been tuning in, you know that I have been talking about the Phillies a lot this season. This is the first season that I've been following the Phillies like essentially game to game, watching the record float.
Right.
And it's very interesting. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in to the One Set podcast. This is a little bit more of an unconventional episode, inspired by something that I watched this morning, and I immediately reached out to Anthony and said, why don't we talk about food? Because food is like essential for living. It's something that we all need. It provides us energy. We all have our own preferences, and we all have like not we all, but a lot of us have certain battles with foods. And I'm not going to get into the battles. Like, I'm not going to talk about those because it's a very sensitive topic. But I know for me, I have been very like, I've backtracked into how I ate while I was a child, elementary school, middle school, high school. Once I decided, I'm going to start eating a little bit more of this, and my parents weren't dictating what I ate all the time and letting me eat like kind of more like what I wanted to eat. It was just really interesting. And one of those things is when I was a teenager, I built a sandwich, which you're going to see later on in the episode. My buddy Anthony here tried for the first time ever. And since talking about it today, Anthony was like, well, if I have to try this thing on my own for the first time, you've got to try something for the first time on your own. And he threw a thing out there at me, and I was like, okay, we're going to save the disgusting stuff for a different time.
Yeah. We figure we'll save the Ralphing for another episode, but this will be the clean episode.
Clean. Yeah. No, I made this sandwich up, I'd say between the ages of 12 and 14 or 15. And everyone that I've told it's really good has denied me immediately. And I've told them, do not knock it until you try it. Anthony here today live on this recording is going to try this sandwich for the first time. And it's the first time we're doing something like this. And I am so excited. And I can't wait to reveal for you guys this sandwich that I have right here that I'm going to try for my first time, that we feel is rather comparable, that if we presented both sandwiches to someone, it would be difficult to say, I think I would like this one over the other. And we'll talk about that. I think we need to get through kind of our backgrounds a little bit on things that we grew up with as foods that were presented to us while we were kids. Because when you're kids, you don't have a lot of choice over what you get to eat. And that's what I thought would make this episode a little bit more interesting. And
so and I'm sure, like, I think we've talked about this before, like growing up with us both being, in an athletic entertainment type of thing. Like, I played a lot of sports when I was a kid, and you being, in dance and sports here and there, my dad instilled in me and my brother a lot of like, healthy type of choices. Like, he wasn't very strict with us. We had like, our own foods that we like to eat. But like when we were in basketball season or if we were in off season, like he would try to help us, say, okay, try to, have good meals around your workouts. So then that's going to help fuel like like your performance and you're going to be performing a lot better and everything. So that kind of, and he's always instilled, working out and going into the gym. When we were kids, we would go into the gym with him. And when you're kids, you just kind of, walk around the weight room and just start, lifting weights. You're not really actually doing any type of, regime or routine. You're just kind of picking up weights and, hey, I could do this and that. But, you know, I'll say with a start with this, my favorite go-to sandwich as a kid was a bologna and cheese sandwich with mayonnaise. That was probably one of the biggest sandwiches that I've had. I had to have it probably once, if not two, three times a week. And that was always a staple when I was a kid. Now, if I had that a lot now, it probably wouldn't be the best, healthiest decision. But, uh, you know, I still, have it from time to time. But, and like you were saying in the beginning, that like as, we grew up, when you're a kid, you don't really get to have the choice to be like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to have this. Like, it's pretty much what your parents give you. But when you start getting older, then you can, you start getting into like more foods, and because then you start getting out more, you start driving, you can go start driving to get your food and everything. And then when you go to college, that's when you're really experimenting with food and getting like certain things. Because I mean, if you're away for college, you don't have your parents around, so you can eat late at night, you can eat in the morning, you can try this stuff and everything. Uh, but I wasn't. I've always been a person that ate, you know, I was always willing to try something and then ask questions later. But I knew what I didn't like, I knew what I liked, but I was always willing to at least possibly try something once.
Right.
How about you?
Uh, where do I start? Okay, so your dynamic being you're the oldest of two, and your brother being only a couple years younger than you. I had two older sisters,
Hmm.
one being 3 years older and one being 7 years older than me. Where my mom, mostly because my dad worked like kind of second shift, so he wasn't around for like the dietary end of it a lot
Yeah.
as we were like young kids. um, so my mom basically was like, "Well, I'm gonna try to get you the nutrients that I can to keep you healthy, but it's not always gonna be like organic fruit, straight up like because we were horrible." I mean, I can't speak for my older sisters, but I can speak to me. Like I was tough as a 2, 3, 4 year old. I was all over the place. So it was kind of just
Hmm.
like, hey, whatever can get him to settle down, great.
Yeah.
um, so I think like from memory, essentially, it was like I was raised with like well done cooked steaks. Um, over I don't want to say the word overly cooked, but to my preference, very, very well cooked hot dogs, like things like that. So, um,
When you say
my
well cooked, does it mean like just a little bit burnt, a lot of burnt, or no burnt at all? Because that's a
so
preference for me.
if you take the Earth in its atmosphere and take it down to its core, just imagine it all charred, and that was my hot dog.
See, that's what my dad likes, burning the whoopsie out of hot dogs. And I do not like a burnt hot dog. My dad would always grill the hot dogs. I had to have my parents boil my hot dogs because I didn't like them grilled.
Sure.
So everybody else would, get a grilled or charcoal type hot dog, I would always go for the boiled ones because I did not like the taste of charcoal hot dogs. Now today, I have a little bit more tolerance for them, but I still don't like when they're very, very burnt. If they
So
like my dad will like said he will they're like black when he does them. And just this past weekend when we were having my wife's birthday, we were grilling out there. I was literally telling him, do not do that to my hot dogs. Like, do not burn them, because he actually made food coming into here and he burnt the hell out of the hot dogs. I'm like, you're not doing that stuff here. Like, I made
yeah,
like four other hot dogs, and I and I just like stood there monitoring because I knew if I went away, he would just be like, they're fine. I'm like, they're literally black.
you were literally like, "This is my house."
My house.
The
My house.
sniff, yeah, my house. Yeah. Okay, so I have to talk about my like childhood growing up with like protein foods because I got into high school years. I showed
Hmm.
up and I was maybe 130, 135 pounds tops going into freshman year. And my dance teacher, which back in 2001, she being a female and me being a male, the only in the studio, she would crack a joke and be like, "Oh my god, you turned sideways. I can't even see you anymore." And like, it was
Hardy
funny
har har
then.
har.
Har har har. Can't joke like that anymore 20 years later, right? But that's
Oh
like
yeah,
how it was.
you'd
And
hit the cancel train in 5 seconds.
yeah, well, the thing was like I didn't value protein because, and like, this is not disrespecting my parents who cooked or brought me up in chicken and steak, or my one particular uncle that used to come over twice a week, either Tuesday, Thursday, and would do chicken one day, steak the other day, flip flop it, spinneroonie it, whatever.
Hmm.
I would get in trouble for dousing them in sauce because they were so dry, because they were so overly cooked. So
Again, and I'll let you keep going because got more coming from my dad.
this is okay. So this is the thing though, is I did not okay, I went to um remember when we didn't go on our senior class trip?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wound up down in Florida. I know I talked about this maybe 20 episodes ago. Um with my studio, I just happened to be able to take up someone else's ticket. And I was there and they took me out to dinner and it was like an all you can eat steak buffet.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't even like steak like that. Except I learned what good steak was.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, what have I been missing my
Oh
entire
yeah.
life?
You
Okay.
you go to a good you go to a 5-star steakhouse, like that's where you want to go. Like, no offense, I've never been to like a good steakhouse. Like, people who think Outback and all these other steak places like that's good steak, like shut up. No, you go to a good 5-star steakhouse. You are, and I can't speak for myself because I've never been there, but I've heard from many people like, you go to a good steakhouse, you're having you know what a good steak tastes like.
I'm telling you, I went to pick up many, many years ago, a good friend of ours from the airport. He was getting back from doing international, he was doing a foreign exchange program. He was coming back from Europe.
Hmm.
We picked him up, and his parents were like, "Let's go to Fogo de Chao." I'm like, "What is that?" No idea. I went, I sat down. This is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're like, "You want more? Disc is up, green side up. If you're done, flip it over, red side up." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I don't even like steak like that."
Right.
Dude, my disc was green side up. I was like, "I've never had steak like this in my life."
Uh-huh.
And since then, I have gone there. I brought my family there for my birthday. Like I have gone there a handful of times. I was just there. My brother-in-law's 40th birthday was there last April.
Hmm.
Um, First time I was there in a while, and oh my goodness, the steak. And they're like, "How would you like it cooked?" Because like the guys come out and they're like, "How would you like it?" Because it's cooked a certain way on this side, or
Literally.
they turn it over and it's cooked a different way on
Okay.
that
Yeah.
side, and then they just slither it off on your plate, and they're like, "Here, you want this?" And you're like, "Do I?" Um,
Yeah.
you're like, "Can I have your number?"
Can I can I have your number?
Please, because I want to learn how to cook like you. Obviously, not for any other reasons. Come on, um, dude, the best steak I've ever had, and since then, I have learned to appreciate like juicy chicken, medium done steak,
Hmm.
and I've even done medium rare just to get it because like I used to order my burgers like when I was a teenager and in my early 20s like well done because that's what my dad would say. I'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
whatever he said because I want to be like him." And then I'm biting into a hockey puck and I'm like, "What
Yeah.
the whoopsie?"
Yeah. I now here with me with steak, like I don't like it really, really red. I don't mind a little pink.
Well, that's
But
where
like I said,
medium lands. Yeah.
yeah.
It
So I mean, I don't mind a little pink, but when it's like I don't like it red, but a little bit of pink because like you said, you still have like the juices in there. But like I used to get steak like well done, and it's just like dry and just doesn't taste the same.
just
But you pulled off a couple more minutes before that, and it still has a little bit of pink to it. Juice is still flowing, and
ah,
and it's good. But like I said, I don't think I've been to that restaurant before. But now that we're
well,
talking steak, it's getting me to the point where I'm like, yeah, I can go for like a really good steak right now.
yeah, that's when as you and Jen get better with leaving a little tone back, that's somewhere where like you guys can go and do a dinner date and come home. It's they have one in Philly, they have one in King of Prussia. Um,
And speaking of that, there's been a concert that we were trying to go to in a couple weeks, and it just got canceled. So I was just telling her, why don't we just still go out, but we just go out to dinner? Hence, that might, depending, I'll get some information for you after we get done this recording, and I'll check
for
up on that.
sure.
Maybe we'll go there because I know she's
It
she's a steak person just like me, so I know she would definitely be into that.
Yeah, I mean um I am not a huge steak person as much as I used to be. I am more so like a seafood and chicken kind of guy.
Yeah, I do.
And
I do like seafood.
I think that that's like balancing, and we're gonna kind of segue back to this real quick. Like we're gonna bring this back because when I was a kid, I would do steaks and chickens for dinner and like have a really tough time with it to the point where my mom was like, "You need to eat," or my dad would be like, "Better eat, boy," kind of thing.
Hmm. Eat your food,
And
boy.
eat your food, boy. Yeah. Um, I mean, my dad was out there like working a ton of hours, so he was providing
Hmm.
for the family. So of course he was like, "Hey, if I'm feeding you guys, you better eat," kind of
You
thing.
better eat.
You
Uh
better eat. But um, let's talk about snacks in the pantry
Yeah.
because I want to get into that
Let's.
real quick. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't want to be too far into it, but let's talk about it real quick. What did you
Yeah.
have?
I mean, uh, oh, I mean, yeah. As a kid, desserts were not in my house. I wasn't like a kid that was like restricted from having sweets and stuff. There were boundaries. I mean, I couldn't just like snack on sweets all day every day. We did have boundaries, but we weren't restricted from having desserts. I mean, I'm trying to think of what. usually like go-tos. I'd had it like I've always been a chocolate person. So you give me chocolate, I'm fine. I'm
Right.
happy. You
Right.
know, cake, you know, cupcakes and like pretty basic desserts and stuff, cookies, anything chocolate, I'm on my knees, buddy.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
can we talk about our mutual love for Uncrustables?
oh
Just
my
give it
goodness.
can we give it maybe 5 seconds of a moment of silence for Uncrustables? Okay.
That's it. Okay. So listen, me and Anthony and I, respectfully, did not go on our scheduled senior weeks with our class. We just, we weren't very, very close with a lot of people we went to school with other than each other. But we did schedule like a week getaway um,
Mhm.
to Wildwood, New Jersey. And we were like, what do we want to bring? And was it me or you?
It was
Who's
you introduced it to me because I didn't know what they were, but I had one, and it was literally our diet for the week.
I, I gotta say, I think I don't even remember who introduced them to me. And this is before high speed internet was like wildly accessible. But I
Yeah.
think that I saw online at the time um Uncrustables. I was like, what are these? And it was just
Yeah.
like little peanut butter and jelly raviolis, essentially
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
frozen, frozen. And you could either take them out, pop them in the microwave, let them like defrost a little bit, or
Uh-huh.
like you could eat them frozen and still have a PB and J frozen and be
That's
like,
me. Yeah.
this this is bomb right now. This is
Uh-huh.
perfect. And
Little guy
when
literally just got into eating Uncrustables. So now me and
um,
him are fighting.
yeah, that was one of the times that elevated me and Anthony's relationship from like, yeah, we graduated high school together to like, okay, we might be friends until we're like old together.
Like, yeah, this is probably gonna be my best friend now. Like,
Yeah,
this is my ride and like Uncrustables. Yeah, this is ride and die status. Like,
that's it. That's it. I mean, I will say I've loved peanut butter since I was a kid. I never didn't like it. Fortunately, and to those who have the allergy, um, I send you all of my love because I love peanut butter so much. And if you do not get to enjoy it, I hope
we're
that
eating
you
it for
get
you.
to.
So,
I hope that you get to enjoy something so much uh, to the extent that Anthony and I are able to. Um, and more on that later with our things that we're going to be trying for our first time ever. That's coming up real soon. Okay.
yeah,
Um, Getting back to when I was a kid, now I would eat donuts, pastries, things like that before I was 18 to 25 years old. No problem. Someone will come home. Granted, my family moved in like kind of across the street from where a new Dunkin' Donuts was being built. So we're like, oh my God, Dunkin' Donuts, cool.
hmm
So like the whole dozen of Dunkin' Donuts uh, coming home wasn't a thing as I grew up because we didn't have one like very close to home. Um, and even after the fact, I've never been like a huge donut person, but when I would have them, it was like a treat, right? Like I didn't go out of my way for them. Um, but like Danishes, bear claws, things like that. There, I definitely had a phase between like the ages of 19 and 23 where I was like, uh, even if I stopped at a gas station, and this is me saying like, yeah, when I was broke, and
yeah,
couldn't afford gas for $1.25 a gallon, I would get like an eclair or something like that, just super quick.
hmm
I don't do pastries anymore. I had a I had a craving for I think I said this maybe an episode or a few ago. I had my first craving for a Dairy Queen Blizzard like a week ago, and we
Yeah, we were
went
talking about
and we
that.
got them. And my God, I haven't had an ice cream craving in so long. And even now, I'm just like, I'm fine. I could go a whole nother year or two without one because I got that treat right then and there.
Yeah,
Um, and that's just, I've given up like bread, pastries, and things like that. I just bought my first loaf of bread today for the first time in almost a year because we have just been doing wraps. So we've gotten tortilla rolls and just done
yeah.
that instead. Um,
Hmm.
I, I got the loaf of bread specifically for this little Sammy that I'm trying today
Little
coming up
Sammy.
soon.
That's awesome.
And anything you have from your childhood that you don't eat anymore before we move on to the next thing.
Uh, from my childhood that I don't eat anymore, I don't know. It's more of the fact that what I eat now. Uh, I wasn't a big fan of sushi when I was younger. Now I love it. Like I love it. Yeah. And I've only when I first started out, I would only usually get California rolls,
It's
and
kind of the
that was
go-to.
my
Yeah.
that was my go-to. I as a intro sushi person, but then started getting into the uh little salmon fillets with the rice underneath it. I would have those every once in a while, and now I'm starting to get into like the spicier, like the little small spicy tuna rolls or the crab meats and everything, because
Sure.
I was so worried about like raw meats and everything with a lot, and it really depended on where I got it from. I was very particular with where I got my sushi from, because I mean, you look at sushi, you can kind of know how long it's been out there or how fresh it's been. So that's usually my thing. Like, okay, like you can kind of look and see, okay, this has been sitting out here for about like 3, 4 hours. I'm not going to get this because I'm going to Ralph all over. Or you can be like, okay, this looks a little bit more fresh, and you can kind of just gorge this a little bit. But now I got to say, like ShopRite, right, literally right around the corner from me. I think they've always had sushi, but that's where I usually get my sushi from now. Uh, if I have like a certain craving for sushi. And they usually have like this bigger pack, and sometimes they'll have like the smaller, maybe 6 to 9, little small rolls of them. But now they had this like jumbo pack where it's like 3 different like rolls of 3 different kinds of sushi rolls. And I've just been going ham on those every once in a while. Uh, Now, especially when we were going on our little weight loss challenge, I didn't have it too many times. Uh, and I can't even remember. It's been a bit since I've had sushi, and every time going in that uh, shop right now, it's always like going past the sushi station, and every time I'm just walking by, I'm just like, and it sometimes gets to me. Sometimes I lose my cool, and I'll get it, but it's gonna happen soon. So I would
It's
say that's definitely one of it's something that like I didn't really eat too much when I was younger, but now it's like I can I with
whoopsie.
sushi.
I have to say that is the first thing that comes to mind. Um, that I never had as a kid, a teenager, in my early 20s, my mid 20s. I was like 26, almost 27,
Hmm.
before I was first introduced to sushi. And I was like, oh, I never had, but it's not, it's not because I ever was like, I don't want to mess with it. It was
Uh
just
huh.
like, I never ran into someone that was like, oh, you got to have this
Gotta try
until
it. Yeah.
I was that age. And then I tried it. I was like, I do not hate this at all. And then
Hmm.
the more times that I had it, I was like, I still do not hate this at all. Like
Hmm.
it's so good. And the one market that I go to like you were saying about around the corner where you live, a little bit near me, ran in and was like, "Oh my goodness, they have a whole sushi,
A sushi.
sushi,
They have a sushi station.
a
A
little
sushi station. They have
a
a little
little
sushi station.
hello, um." And I'm like checking out the price. I'm like, okay, they're a little high, but sushi's a little bit high price, obviously. Like it's going to
Yeah.
be. And
Hmm.
it's like I was telling you earlier off air before we talked about like what we want to chat about today. I was like, that is like a once a month, once every couple month like kind of
Yeah.
treat for me. And that's why I think I still enjoy it so much because I don't do it once a week. It's like basically as often as I get sushi is like how often I get like Chinese, almost like
Yes.
intermittently, like
I'll
rotating it
agree
in
with
and out.
that.
Yeah. And
Chinese is usually like a treat for us, like you just said. Like it's something that we don't have every week, every month. Like
sure.
that's usually like and it's usually when, uh, you know, Jen will crave it. Then I'll be like, okay, cool. That's we haven't had it in a while because she's big on Chinese food, and
And she probably
she'll
also is just like once in a while, like, I'm craving this, and
yes.
you're like, perfect, let's do that.
Yeah, 'cause she's like, we haven't had this in a while, and I was thinking about it all day. Let's get Chinese food. I'm like, okay, cool. And
That one time a month where she decides what she wants to eat, and you're like,
yeah,
go
like thank you.
yeah, I love it.
And it's usually been General Tso's chicken, uh, and some vegetables, and I'm good. I've been trying to get some good Mandarin chicken, because I used to get the Mandarin chicken from like Panda Express,
Mhm.
and that was pretty good. I mean, come on, if Panda Express's orange chicken, legendary. Come on now,
Legendary.
yeah,
I mean, wait, you know the Christiana Mall, right?
yeah,
I'm pretty sure their food court, um, the spot that I get Chinese is Panda Express. And if it's not, I'm not out here trying to offend anybody, but I am almost positive that it is. It's just been a lot. It's been since before the pandemic,
it's
which
been a
has
while
been,
since I've been
it's
down
been
to
a
the
few
Christiana
years.
Mall. Yeah,
So I think that it is. And if it's not, apologies. But like when they're giving out their free samples out front, and I'm like, hey, Forever 21 has like this really cool men's section in the corner. And if they don't like something, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like something over at that Chinese spot instead. And then I go there and I eat. I'm like,
yeah,
boom, I don't feel bad. Like, literally, you can't go to that mall. I mean, it's not nearly as big as the King of Prussia Mall.
right.
Um, but yeah, I used to go there and be like, I'm eating here. And granted, the other food stops surrounding them, great. I mean, we're talking food. Can we talk about Chipotle for a second? We have
Yeah,
to,
we can.
because I know how much you love Chipotle. So you have to talk about it.
Chipotle came into my life in college. Uh, did yeah, in college. A couple of my buddies introduced me, and I'm like, "What have I been missing all my life?" And I thought Taco Bell was gourmet. I and I went to Chipotle, and I'm like, "Wow, yeah, this is definitely not what I was thinking." So, uh, Chipotle, I, I always usually go with burritos. If I was doing a lot more of my weight loss cuts a couple years ago, I would try to do the bowls and everything. I would just pretty much almost have the same stuff but I would just swap out the wrap and the rice, and then I
Okay,
would just
okay,
have lettuce.
okay. Tell everybody your standard Chipotle bowl 2 years ago. Go.
Just
Okay,
the
I'd like
bowl, or
yeah, I'd like a bowl.
Mm,
What kind of rice? What kind of meat? Like, tell
okay.
everybody what you will get.
So I'll do like two quickie type of things. So if it's a day where I was able to have a little bit of decent amount of carbs, it would be, okay, bowl, then you would have your salad, little bit of brown rice, double chicken, uh, maybe some fajita veggies. And then I would either, depending on which one I was craving, it would either be the cheese or the sour cream. Sometimes the sour cream would be more fitting. Sometimes the cheese would be more fitting to me. And then that would I'm not was never usually a guy that like drowned everything. Like I was pretty. I'm always been pretty simple. And even with the wraps, it's like wrap, brown rice. Usually, it's always brown rice for me. Then double chicken, fajita veggies, and then either sour cream or just cheese. Uh, I used to get guac on there too every once in a while, but since they came out with the queso dip is a hit or a miss sometimes for me. I'm not sold on their queso dip every once in a while. But yeah, uh, can we briefly talk about when you have somebody that doesn't know how to wrap up the burrito the correct way and they mess it up? Does that not give you the biggest anxiety trip ever to be like, can you just do your job? Like, like I grade you. if oh my god, if a guy
It's like
had to marry it, and I'm probably gonna get rolled for this one, so bear with me, people. But if a guy had to rate their wife on the fact of how good they rolled up a Chipotle burrito, that 50% of divorce would go up to probably about 75. I've never been so ashamed of my life. It's so critical.
ladies and gentlemen, from our friend Anthony here and my brother, uh, this is how high of a pedestal that he holds Chipotle's um,
Burrito
quality
wrapping.
burrito
Burrito.
wrapping performance on. And if you marry him, you better get it right. Because if you don't get it right,
Kick the curb.
gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
And this has been one set.
And dude, yeah, I will say for me, it's always been a very simple bowl, white rice, double chicken, and then I do the mild sauce, which is like the pico de gallo. It's just the diced tomatoes,
Yeah.
essentially. And then I get shredded lettuce across the top. Sometimes I get a little bit of cheese and then guacamole. That's it. Like I don't make it super heavy. I'm just like
Right.
I want to finish the bowl. I don't want to feel like I get to the end, I save the last 15% of it for later, and then I don't eat it and I throw it out. I'm like, nah, I'm
Yeah,
good.
because I always see people, loading up like, okay, rice, beans, chicken, fajitas, then like corn, then salsa,
Well, they're like, I'm paying
cheese.
twelve
So
dollars
I'm,
for this. We're gonna get everything, but at the same time, I'm
yeah, I
like,
mean, totally understandable.
wow,
I'm like, dude, like, I always think of it as like, you have it's either rice or beans. Pick one or the other for carbs. You
uh,
got three different protein sources. You have steak, chicken, or what's that new one that they have?
carnitas.
Yeah, so you have the three different protein sources. Then for like fats, you have the guac, sour cream, and cheese. That's how my mind works when I'm thinking of this stuff. Okay, so you can't have. I mean, every once in a while you can double up on something. Like, oh, you can have if you're really feeling fancy, just get sour cream and cheese. But I'm thinking, okay, only pick one of them because they're essentially the same thing. They're both more your fat source. You got protein and your carbs, and then lettuce. That's neither because there's really no calories in lettuce. If you're getting fat off lettuce, come on now.
Come on.
Uh,
I
come on.
mean, for me, yeah, come on. It's like for me when they're loading up like that, I wait to see this, and this is in, insanely important. Okay, when you're watching them check out, and they're like, "Is this for here or to go?" And I'm like, and if they're like for here and they load it up, and I'm like, you're a piece of
Whoopsie.
because number one, there is a public restroom. Okay. It's for the public. If you think you're going to peel the paint off the wall because you decided to be jealous, or what's the word? Thank you. Not the word jealous.
Selfish.
Selfish. Thank you. If you decide to be selfish and you want to peel the paint off the walls because you want to load up your bin, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, it doesn't amount to anything, but you're going to go take a dump in the public restroom. Eat,
Whoopsie.
man.
Exactly.
At home, at home, at home, at home, at home.
At
When you can go
home.
to your bathroom right next door and do what you need to do.
I was gonna say the same thing because, like, are you gonna have this here or are you gonna have it for to go? I'm like, no, I'm taking this to go because I'm gonna be depressed having these people look at me eat like start like actually scarfing this down in like 5 seconds. They'll be looking at me like, take a breath. Like,
The worst is floating out of the bathroom after 20 minutes of being in there and being like, oh my God, I just blew this shit up.
whoopsie.
And they're like, really? Like, we see you, we know you're here. And I'm like, well, it's the public restroom. I'm allowed. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
At the same time, I'm like, no, I don't want to be that person. So when I watch this happen, I'm just like,
So let's give these
so
people what they've been waiting for, shall we?
absolutely. Absolutely. You are going first. I'm sorry. Because
Okay.
you are going to test the sandwich that I have tried 5 times at least. When I say 5 times at least, I say 5 times. This is a very special, rare occasion where I'm in the mood for something incredibly outside of the box. Okay. And as I was saying at the start of the episode, inspired Taste Buds, Joe DeRosa, Sal Volcano
Shout out.
podcast. Shout out. They were debating this morning what's better, the bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich or the BLT sandwich. And I was like, this should be interesting because they both have bacon, but one is a
Hmm.
breakfast sandwich and one is a lunch sandwich, and they're both definitely so I was like, I gotta see where this goes.
Hmm.
A very fun, interesting episode. It does lean heavily the one way. But and the person defending the opposition uh just skips breakfast. So not to spoil anything, but that basically gives it away. Um it's a fun episode. I didn't feel like it was a waste of my time. But anyway, it got me to thinking like, Ant, we have a podcast to shoot tonight. Let's talk about some stuff
Yeah.
regarding food. And I think that we got through, like, I know for me, I gave up like pastries, bread. I don't like, I just bought my first loaf of bread in forever. I just usually do wraps or very like thin bagels. I don't do muffins or biscuits or anything like that ever. Um, since I was a kid. And I used to drink milk like out of the glass as a kid. I used to eat cereal. I don't do any of that anymore. Um, but I do sushi now. Like I got introduced
Hmm.
to sushi. I love steak and chicken cooked medium, juicy, super good. And I also love this sandwich that I created when I was about 14 years old. It is the peanut butter and cheese with mustard sandwich. Now, it's very important that I acknowledge the one piece of bread has the mustard lathered and the cheese on top of the mustard contacting the other piece of bread that has the peanut butter on top. Boom. You're not doing the peanut butter touching the mustard directly, even though when
Right.
you bite into it, it all goes to the same place. But everything layered a specific way tastes a specific way. And then we're going to talk about this sandwich here that neither of us have had and we've talked about throughout the day. Anth, your first bite.
But-
Go ahead. And I want to hear your reaction.
All right. So this is the first for anybody who's not watching and are listening. So this is going to just sound like a whole bunch of chomping and chomping. So bear with us.
You chop away. I will talk about this. I have had, like I said, a handful of people try this, and I have had not one person tell me
This is pretty good.
this is not good at all. I'm going to be sick. Every single person I've had that has tried it has taken a second bite, if not finished the whole thing.
This is pretty good.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. See? This
Number
is
two.
number two. And I'm telling you, Anth, tell me
I'm gonna
you do not.
give it a little bit. We have we have the peanut butter.
Mustard, cheese, and peanut butter on top.
I have 2 slices of cheese in between the peanut butter and mustard. And like I told you before, I was very sparing on the peanut butter because I like to lather up on peanut butter. But I took Jim's advice. Make sure you have a good proportion of peanut butter and mustard on each of them, so then you have that consistency to be able to taste both of them. And I gotta say, I think I hit it on the nail because I do taste the mustard, I do taste the peanut butter. I do gotta say this is a good sandwich.
Yes, yes. That's my favorite thing to hear. Like, especially just live, someone that has never had it before and recorded for anyone. I mean, Anthony's finishing this whole thing right now. He's like, I'm not going to not finish this thing right here.
No, I'm glad I'm the only one eating this sandwich, and I'll not be sharing with this thing.
Here's the thing. I suggested this at like 9:30 this morning, and then I think by 12:30 we came up with this thing over here. By 6:30, like, because I had a huge omelet for breakfast with potatoes, and toast, which I haven't had at the diner in our local town in a while. So good. Country omelet. I always get the country omelet. So good.
Country omelet is good.
Fill me up for hours on end. And
that
then,
or the Western omelet. Very good.
Yeah. And then it was hours later, we were playing Clue, listening to metalcore music from the 2000s. And then Cheyenne was like, I'm hungry. I'm going to make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because we stopped at the store because we didn't have bread. We didn't have jelly. And I needed jelly for this thing over here, which we're about to touch on. So we're running out of time here. But she made herself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on bread. And we haven't had bread in a long time. She took a bite and she was like, take a bite out of this. And I was like, you know what? I'm making myself.
Done, boy.
I made myself a peanut butter and cheese with mustard sandwich so fast. And then I messaged Anthony once he was leaving work around like 5 o'clock, I think, right? Does that sound right? I was like, dude, I'm doing this now, and I'm doing this other sandwich that I haven't done later in the night that I'm a little nervous about, but at least you have my recommendation on that sandwich, and you're like, dude, tell everyone you wouldn't eat that sandwich again.
I would definitely have it 100% again.
Yes. Like
I told you, I like all 3 of them individually. So I was not afraid to try it, but I never had witnessed them all in the same thing for one sandwich.
Well, and this is the thing. I think the inspiration behind all of this was that burger that I had a couple weeks ago at the gig that you did. The peanut butter and jelly nanner burger that I saw on the menu, and I was like, there's no way this is on the menu unless if it's good. And I tried it, and like I was telling you, everyone around me was like, you're crazy. I was like, I know, and I'm going to love this. So I got it, and I let Cheyenne try it, and she was like, her face was making all of these, like, she was like, her face was doing a workout because she was like, I don't want him to know how good I think this is. And I think that that was part of the inspiration for this episode, other than the challenge between bacon, egg, and cheese and the BLT sandwich this morning. Dude, I gotta try this because my, you know,
So before you do it, because I know we're uh, on a little bit of borrowed time. When I was thinking of this too, because I was trying to see, have you had like I think a turkey and cheese sandwich before, or a turkey and I think you mentioned first turkey and jelly, and I'm like, it's a little risque, but I think I would even try that. But then you went another step and started putting horseradish on there, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
taking it to the nth degree. I like it for the pod.
for the,
for
for the pod.
for the pod.
So the thing is, can't knock something until you try it, right? And so anytime
Right.
that I talk about the peanut butter and cheese with mustard sandwich, and people are like, "Ugh, that doesn't make sense." I'm like, have you seen these sauces that are being sold anymore? It's like Soraya, it's like sriracha and mayo, like looped, swirled into one. It's like mayonnaise and barbecue. It's like barba and mayo or yo. Have you seen these? And tell me,
No, no.
they are selling these sauces in the store where they're selling like literally two sauces swirled into one, and they're like, check this out. This is so cool. And I'm like,
I've
I will
seen the
li-
peanut butter and jelly swirl in one jar, and I'm like, no.
that is a way different thing and a way different conversation, which I've
Yeah.
tried. It's just as much as I am a fan of both. If someone handed it to me, I would eat it, but I would never buy it. I would never go out of my way.
Yeah. That's my thing. That if somebody handed to me, I would buy it, but I'm like, no, that's just like crazy talk.
This thing over here, I'm gonna try because I was trying to find. So Anthony here was trying to find something comparable that I have not had before, and he tried to um in in, invoke the idea. Sorry, I lost my words for a second. Invoke the idea of the pickle hoagie, which is like the hoagie roll is a pickle, right? It's like a
Yeah,
giant
it's
pickle,
it's basically a hoagie, but without the roll, like the bread roll. It's a
right?
pickle,
Yeah.
and they
So
are delicious.
here's the thing. I am so anti pickle that I told Anthony, I was like, you agreed to the sandwich that I gave you. I'm gonna save that for a time where we have to give each other sandwiches that we know we're just going to hate. Oh,
Yeah.
a
So we'll
totally
do a
different
part
episode.
two.
Yeah. So for episode 27, my golden episode, my favorite number, the 27. I'm gonna try this. Anthony here said the jelly might actually feel like cranberry sauce. And I was like, that's why I took the mayo that he suggested and threw horseradish to make a, a more spicy accent to it. But
That's
I
what I
think,
was. That's what I think I had. Like, did you have mayonnaise and turkey before? So then
yeah,
that's when, and then you said let's just add the jelly, and then you changed out the mayo for horseradish. That's how it.
yeah,
So that's how it originated, right?
yeah. So here we go. I'm going to give it a
There
go.
we go. So Jim is taking his first bite of this sandwich. How you feeling?
Here's what I want to say. I've never, like, I'm going to finish this and I would have another one.
Really?
Yeah. The texture of jelly is like very, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a pastry sweet. The fact that
Right.
you have the horseradish, like, uh, kick to it makes it feel very weird. And after the fact, it's like, I feel like it needs a little bit more turkey to,
Yeah.
because I have like very thinly sliced turkey in here because
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have lunch meat in yours specifically. Your
Right.
your protein came really from the peanut butter
The peanut
and,
butter. Mm-hmm.
and the cheese. I don't have protein on here. Otherwise, I just have the jelly and the horseradish. So I think I would
I mean,
need,
you have the turkey, but you don't have a lot of turkey to,
right.
compensate. But yeah.
I think it would need either another couple slices of turkey or maybe a different meat to help counter it.
Hmm.
Um, just so I'm not fibbing, I'm definitely.
Going to town.
This is so good. I would do it again.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
so
that's a good.
different.
Yeah. I think we're definitely gonna have to. Well, I mean, you've had this already, but now I definitely want to try this sandwich and give it a run for myself.
There you go. With that said, everybody,
This was a very cool episode. I think I got to give the shout out to my brother Jim for coordinating this little thing. So, guys, if you like this content, let us know. Let us know in the comments, by the way, of a sandwich that you loved as a kid that you still eat to this day. And maybe on these, if people like this type of content, we'll maybe try your sandwich on the next one. Let us know. Send us an email, onesetpod@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Send us a DM. Let us know how you like this episode, because if we get enough people, we'll do more of these type of little food reviews, or making up weird choices, and see what we think, because these definitely came out of nowhere.
I mean, my peanut butter and cheese with mustard sandwich was just. I told Anthony this morning it was just a very moronic thing that I did as a young
Yeah.
teenager, and I threw it together and I ate it, and I was like, "This is great." And everyone I told was like, "You're insane." I was like, "I
Yeah.
know, you're insane for missing out."
For
And
missing
everyone that
out.
I've told this to, and tell me you won't make this within the next year for yourself. Like you
I
would
will definitely make it again. And for the same thing how I tried yours, I definitely have to have you try, even though you've had bologna and cheese with mayonnaise, have to try it the way that I used to make it, which would be, and we're going to get out of here in a few minutes. It was mayonnaise on both sides, not both sides of it, but mayonnaise on both pieces
eat.
of bread,
Yep.
then a slice of bologna on each side, and then the cheese in the middle, one or two slices.
Sure.
Bam, and then you're good.
Done.
So we'll have to get you to try that too. So, and then we'll both have like our childhood sandwiches that we've been able to go.
I
So,
would love it. I mean, little honorable mention, my dad introduced me to liverwurst sandwiches when I was a kid, and I was like, oh my god, I love them. They were so good.
I've never had liverwurst.
Okay, another
So there
one,
we go.
DJ Khaled.
That might be the part 2 of the Ralph episode.
Yeah. Anthony, love you, brother. To all of our fans,
Love you too,
thank you
man.
guys so much for tuning in. Again, this was just a really fun episode. If you want to reach out to us, onesetpod@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of us, and we would love to hear your feedback and anything that you would like us to talk about on the episode. Anthony, any thoughts before we close out?
Well, I was hungry before this episode started, and I'm full. So thank you, buddy.
You got it, brother. Love you, man. Talk soon.
Love
Thank
you
you,
too.
guys.
See you guys.